Did you know that police can lawfully enter your home and search it without a warrant?
You mean police don't always need a warrant to search your house?
There are some circumstances when police are legally allowed to enter your home without a warrant and search it. And if you have evidence of a crime that they find, they can arrest you, prosecute you, convict you, and sentence you to jail.
What's the main way that people have their house searched without a warrant?
There are at least 3 or 4 common examples of people getting their home searched without a warrant. Number 1, if police officer is dealing with an ongoing emergency. For example, they're in pursuit of a suspect, they can lawfully enter a home in order to search. Police officers are also allowed to conduct a protective sweep of the premises, and if you happen to have evidence of crime or contraband laying around, they can use it against you. They can document it, photograph it, seize it, book it, and use it in your criminal trial. Most importantly, however, police enter homes without a warrant because they trick the homeowners or people who act as agents on behalf of the homeowner into giving them consent.
So how do people trick them into giving consent?
Police officer will typically say that if you're innocent, you have absolutely nothing to hide. They will ask you for permission to come inside. And remember, a police officer is kind of like a vampire in the True Blood series. They cannot cross into your home unless you give them permission.
But you just said there's circumstances where they don't need permission.
If it's an ongoing emergency. But if they simply want to investigate a crime, if they want to come into the house and trick you into inviting them in, anything they see, anything they find inside will be fair game because it will be in plain view.
Do they get to go through all your cabinets at that point in time?
If you give them permission.
So they can look at anything, anywhere that you give them permission to look.
Absolutely. But you have to remember, they can only search within the scope of the consent that they're given. So if you allow them to come in to talk to you about, let's say, a parking ticket, they can't turn around and question you about a murder.
What about people that happen to live there, like parolees? Is that a good idea to have a parolee living in your house?
It's not a good idea to have evidence of crime, contraband, drugs, guns, or stolen goods if you have a person living in your house who is on some sort of supervision or restriction. That's because a person who is on probation or parole will typically waive their right to be free from warrantless searches and seizures in order to be accepted on probation or parole. That means if you have a friend or a loved one who is on probation, police officers can come and search any areas where that person visits, frequents, or resides.
Are there any other main ways that police can get into your house without your consent?
If they have permission from a tenant in that house, if you are a homeowner and you have a tenant, please make sure that your tenants are not allowing police officers to come in unless there is an ongoing emergency. If a tenant acts on your behalf and allows a police officer to walk into your home and police officer sees in plain view evidence of a crime, perhaps stolen goods, a firearm, narcotics, drugs, or other contraband, police officer can lawfully seize it, document it, and use it against you in building a criminal case.
Can somebody call up on the phone to the police and say, hey, I think there's somebody in the house that's passed out, and can the cops then enter the home under those circumstances?
If police officers legitimately believe that there is an emergency situation going on, they would be allowed to enter the home in dealing with pending emergency.
If we want to sum this up, the 3 main ways that police enter your house, conduct a search without a warrant, one would be consent, correct?
Yes.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be your consent. It could be your wife's consent, a tenant in your house, somebody else's consent.
Assuming they had the authority to do what the police officer obtained from them, which is to allow them to enter the home.
And a second way cops can get into your house without your consent would be if somebody's living there, like somebody on probation or parole that has search terms in their probation. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, some of us have friends or loved ones who are subject to restrictions because of probation or parole. If you have a loved one who is subject to restrictions like probation or parole, you obviously don't want to kick him out of your house. But you need to be smart and make sure that there is nothing in that house that can be tied back to you that could result in you being arrested and joining your loved ones on probation or parole, because a police officer can always enter a home if you give up your right to be free from warrantless searches and seizures, such as by agreeing to be on probation or parole.
Does a police officer have to know that you're on parole or probation before they enter your house?
Yes. A police officer or probation officer would obviously have to know that you're on probation before they enter your house subject to a probation search. If they're simply simply engaging fishing expedition. They go into your house, they search first, they find evidence of a crime, and then and only then do they learn, holy moly, this person happened to be on probation. Then that's not a valid search.
And now a third main way police get in your house without having a search warrant is if some reason they believe there's a health or safety issue inside the house. Is that correct?
Police officers are allowed to enter a home without a warrant if there is an ongoing emergency, if they are in hot pursuit of a suspect, if they have a reason to believe that someone inside that residence is having a medical emergency. Examples like that will allow police to enter your home. So please be sure, if you called 911 because your loved one is on the floor hyperventilating, having a hard time, make sure you don't have evidence of a crime laying around. Remember, police officer has the right to be where a police officer is. Anything they discover in plain view is subject to search and seizure. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please hit like and subscribe. And if you like what you have seen, you have special requests, please write to us, leave us a comment, and we will try to create more content in order to help you stay out of trouble, not just on Tuesday, but on every day of the week.